for Rock 7, boys. Who's your release point?
Thomas, I need your team to go with King.
Guys, we still got this man right here.
Puck has it.
The battalion as a whole is seizing the airfield. We're going to do an air assault. 15 UH-60 Blackhawks will infill us. We'll have a TAC weapons team in support as well on infill. Charlie Company is the decisive operation. That's my sister company. They're tasked with seizing and eventually, hopefully, capturing a high-value target. Our company, Bravo Company, will be up to the north securing the HLZ and securing the airfield as a whole. It's going to be the largest air assault that's been conducted, at least in the 82nd, in quite some time. When you look at the amount of aircraft that they're committing to the package, obviously the air battalion commander can speak probably to that specifically, but 15 UH-60s, rarely if ever seen in the 82nd Airborne specifically. We're airborne, not really air assault, but certainly an asset that we love to employ, and certainly an asset that we have employed in the past. So it's something that we've never seen to this scale, a battalion air assault with approximately 165 or so packs in the air at one time with air weapons support, a forward FARP, an entire aviation task force in support of an entire battalion infantry task force. Is this particular exercise, we're going out with capability set 15. So the Net Warrior concept, the digital capability and the network architecture, vastly different from our traditional legacy systems, the SINGAR, FM, push-to-talk type of radio systems. This new system and its entire node allows us to see digital information from one another. So essentially every team leader in this particular operation will be carrying a radio system that talks on a waveform that allows us to pass digital information back and forth. So we can send text messages, we can see each other's locations without necessarily pushing the radio and asking for their location. We're able to share that information across an entire battalion. And eventually what we're looking to do specifically on this mission is pass that information into what we call the upper tactical intranet. And that's going to be able to broadcast it into the satellite feed that we'd be able to see back at a brigade talk that's offset by hundreds of miles. One of the gaps that exist based on the expeditionary force, and that's one of the things that this mission in particular, and really holistically when you talk airborne operations, air assault operations, where capability set 15 limitations currently exist. So yes, can we employ a SNE, for example, which is my command vehicle, and that kind of ties the lower tactical intranet to an upper tactical intranet? Yes, that exists currently, but it doesn't exist in the format for expeditionary forces. So if I'm going to go conduct a large offsite air assault like this particular mission, where we're going hundreds of miles away from our higher headquarters or echelons above brigade, or in this particular case, brigade talk, we're limited in the terms of equipment that we're able to take on the air assault. So for example, I'm only able to carry my rifleman radio, or in this case, I'll be carrying an emitter 2. My RTO will be carrying a 155. That builds out a lower tactical intranet, but that's the same capabilities that our current legacy systems have. The only addition is we have the ability to talk digital to each other. Where the current limitation exists in the expeditionary force is how do we get the lower tactical intranet broadcasted farther away on a satellite feed, on JCR, for example, BFT. In order to do that, we need a package that has, one, enough power, two, has the CPU capability to broadcast that, and that typically comes in the form of a command vehicle. We're attempting to get it hooked up to an M-Razor, so Polaris M-Razor. We'll hook up a small generator to it, put the JCR system into it, and then we're attempting to sling load it into this air assault. That may not happen on this particular air assault, because we're still working through a lot of the procedures in the test directorate about hooking all of that stuff up to a bird where the sling capabilities are. So certainly the capability exists within capability set 15, but again, limitation is expeditionary forces. It's very difficult for us to jump or even fly in a SNE. Some of the high sensitivity communications equipment certainly can't be heavy dropped. Some of them are too large, and a lot of times they're on up armored Humvees. So we're trying to work in the nuances of how do we get an expeditionary force able to talk quickly at the upper TI. The limitations that we have in terms of expeditionary operations, sticking with this theme right now, is en route communications. So right now we're in the planning stages, we're in the coordination stages to this air assault. We're doing an air mission brief tonight, we're doing the joint combined arms rehearsal. I'm right now have my platoon leaders drawing out the ops graphics onto the EUD. So every squad leader and team leader will be able to flip open their cell phone and we all see the same operations graphics, the same control measures, the same locations, and then as our positions move, it'll dynamically move on that piece of software and on their hardware. So it's going to be great in terms of that. Where we're going to start to find the limitations is when we get in the aircraft and we start to fly away. So how am I communicating with the scouts and MARSOC, who's on the ground, starting at 1900 last night? Right now, I don't have communications with them. Certainly we have HF, they're talking to the TALK, we have digital systems, but they don't necessarily link into CS-15 right now. So I'm black on communications from the time I get in the Black Hawk to the time I land on the HLZ. So when air weapons teams are up flying around, potentially destroying or identifying enemy positions, when my scout team, maybe they've been compromised or maybe they've had to move their hide site or serve site, I don't have all of those updates real time yet. I also don't have those intel updates that are coming in from IC platforms. So as the S2 is continuing analysis, as the TALK in the rear is continuing to build a real common operating picture, pushing that common operating picture down to that lowest level through these digital systems in an expeditionary unit is still a limitation, specifically in the airborne community. We're going to test some things out in the air assault community now to see if maybe our network bubble will be large enough as we're flying in a certain formation. I don't know that when we separate by serials, serial 1, serial 2, serial 3, I don't know if we're going to be able to talk inner serials, but certainly intra-serial, we're going to test that capability. But again, what is the longevity? I have batteries. I want my batteries to last for the duration of the mission, not necessarily pre-mission. So these are all of the things that are going into play. Jumpability and a typical airborne operation, the lower tactical intranet is jumpable. We've jumped to 154s, we've jumped imbitters, I've jumped my kit with the EUD, we've jumped to 155s with my RTO. Heavy, yes. Several batteries, absolutely. Additional equipment to charge those batteries, yes, part of the package. So we can establish a lower tactical internet today in an airborne operation, but that's as far as it goes. Connecting that lower tactical intranet to an upper tactical intranet, where it really becomes advantageous for a battalion and a brigade, is still our difficulty.